approaches and launches the first wave, 189 fighters and bombers from Japan's first air fleet toward Pearl Harbor. So confident of total surprise are the attackers that as they approach the island, the coded signal indicating a totally successful raid is flashed back to the carrier task force before the first bomb falls. Tora, 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 Tiger, Tiger, Tiger. A single remote radar station had spotted these incoming raiders, but mistook them for a flight of B-17s due in from the mainland. The B-17s arrive and, like America itself, find themselves in the middle of a war that had not yet been declared. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is December 7th, 1945, 7:55 a.m. Tora, 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 the surprise Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The attack that was just on the way. You are there. The attack from the Japanese aircraft carriers Akaga, Hiryu, Soryu, and two new carriers, the Shokaku and Suikaku, lasts a little over 2 gruesome hours. And we've taken you back to that fateful day. Watch the bombs going off. Listen to the roar of the engines. Look at the torpedoes being dropped from the K torpedo bombers. And you can just imagine what it must have been like that fateful day. When the first bombs began to fall, pilots all over the island jumped into action. Kenneth Taylor and George Welch were just returning from an all-night dinner, dance, and poker party. These brave pilots, still in formal dress, raced to a couple of P-40 Warhawks, got them fueled and armed, and took off and quickly found themselves in the middle of a real battle. These two pilots caught up with the Japanese close to Pearl Harbor and Hickam Field and engaged with only 30 caliber machine guns. Taylor and Welch quickly ran out of ammunition, landed at Wheeler Field, and there in the center of the island, refueled, reloaded with 30 and 50 caliber ammunition, and took off to fight again. The two are credited with downing a total of 6 Japanese warplanes before their own P-40s were disabled. Both pilots received a Distinguished Service Cross for their actions that infamous day. At Wheeler Field, Lieutenant Philip Rasmussen woke to the sound of bombs, jumped out of bed, strapped on a .45 pistol over his purple pajamas, ran to find a working Curtiss P-36 Hawk, joined by 3 more P-36 pilots, and took off to engage the Japanese. You see, torpedo bombers going by right now. Pilots Rasmussen, Lewis Sanders, Harry Brown, Gordon Sterling, and Malcolm Mike Moore managed to shoot down a few of the Japanese Zeros, valves, and gates, but the enemy numbers were overwhelming. You see the P-36 auto the Japanese Zero there, simulating the action on the P-36s that were able to get into the air. The enemy numbers were terrible. 402 U.S. planes were on the ground at the beginning of the Tora 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 attack. 188 were destroyed, 159 damaged, and 155 were left on the ground. Very few got into the air. The first wave of 189 Japanese Zeros, valves, and gates hammered Hawaii for about an hour. Then came the second wave of 171 airplanes to continue the strafing, bombing, and dropping torpedoes for another hour or so. A total of 360 enemy warplanes. As the attack proceeded at Pearl Harbor and Hickam Field, the devastation was awesome. On the eastern edge of Fort Island, in the center of the harbor, 8 of our battleships lay at berth. The Arizona, Nevada, California, Maryland, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and the Tennessee. The Japanese hit first with Cape torpedo bombers. The initial wave hit the Oklahoma, California, Nevada, West Virginia, and a target ship, the Utah. These Capes were equipped with special shallow running torpedoes, just like the you see in front of you right now. These shallow running torpedoes were designed specifically for the attack on Pearl Harbor. Here comes another Cape and another Cape in from the right. You see, the shallow waters would not accept the normal deep running torpedoes. This is sufficient evidence that took away any claim that the Japanese might have that this was an attack of opportunity. No, this was a well-planned attack. The Tora 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 attack on Pearl Harbor. As you see the Zeros coming to do strafing runs. The Cape torpedo bombers coming in to drop those shallow running torpedoes. We also had the Val dive bombers, armed with 1,700-pound armor-busting projectiles, made for 16-inch battleship guns, but converted to aerial bombs. The Vals dived down on the Nevada and the Arizona. Anti-aircraft fire veered the Vals away from the Nevada on the first wave, but the Arizona wasn't that lucky. A bomb from a Cape bomber stabbed the Arizona through her forward magazine and exploded, touching off more than 1 million pounds of gunpowder. A sailor on the Nevada watched the Arizona jump up at least 15 to 20 feet in the water and break into two pieces, forever entrapping 1,200 American servicemen in an underwater tomb, a tomb that remains at the bottom of Pearl Harbor to this day. The ship sank in less than 3 minutes. Yes, folks, this is a recreation of the surprise Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. We've taken you back to that fateful day of December 7th, 1941. You are there. Listen to the roar of the engines, the sound of the air raid sirens and gunfire. The P-36 the Zeros doing strafing runs, the Cape torpedoes dropping bombers, dropping torpedoes, and you can just imagine what it must have been like with over 300 Japanese fighters and bombers attacking Pearl Harbor and Hickam Field for a little under 2 hours. At Marine Corps Air Station Ewa, PFC Melvin Thompson was on guard duty when 9 Zeros attacked the base. He stepped out of his guard shack, drew his 45 caliber pistol and began firing on the marauding Japanese Zeros. A Japanese pilot, Yoshio Shiga, saw Thompson firing back, and years later Shiga remembered Thompson's tenacity and fighting spirit, describing the lone Marine as the bravest American that I have ever seen. All over the island, soldiers were bringing their weapons to bear in the fight. Anything they could get working. The 45 caliber pistols, Springfield rifles. In some cases, our soldiers were able to get the 30 caliber and 50 caliber belt-fed machine guns into action, bringing down numerous marauding Japanese valves in case. But we were sadly outnumbered. 189 fighters and bombers in the first run, 171 in the second wave. About an hour after the first wave hit, yes, they caught us completely by surprise at 7:55 a.m. on December 7th of 1941. You see the Curtiss P-36 Hawk replica right on the tail of one of the Japanese Zeros, simulating those few pilots that were able to get into the air to attack the marauding Japanese Zeros, Vals, and Capes. That flight of B-17s coming from the mainland arrive and are immediately attacked by the marauding Japanese Zeros. In the confusion, the B-17s were shot at by friend and foe, and the frightened crews landed wherever they could. You can just imagine what it must have been like to be sitting in that unarmed B-17 coming in for what you thought was a ferry flight from the mainland and find yourselves in the middle of a war that had not been declared. Yes, this is it. Tora, 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 the surprise Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, and we've taken you back to that fateful day of December 7th, 1941. They called it Tora, Tora, Tora. Coming in from the right, the flight of Cape torpedo bombers, dropping those special shallow running torpedoes designed specifically for the attack on Pearl Harbor. High overhead, the Japanese Zeros doing their strafing runs like they did all over the island of Oahu. Coming in from the right, the Curtiss P-36 Hawk on the tail of a Japanese. You can imagine what it was like. The B-17s arrived and they landed wherever they could. One in a pineapple field not far from Hickam Field. One of the B-17 pilots, a major landed trying to land, said what a hell of a way to enter a war. Out of gas, unarmed, and no place to land. 8 of the B-17s actually made it to Hickam Field. At the conclusion of the surprise Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, more than half of America's entire naval fleet had been destroyed. Nearly 2,400 Americans were killed, over 1,200 wounded. and at the time, 960 were missing. 188 aircraft were destroyed, 159 damaged, and just 155 aircraft were left on the ground. 2 battleships, 3 destroyers, and 2 light cruisers were destroyed. 6 battleships were damaged. Our greatest naval base lay in ruins, along with our complacency. The following day, December 8, 1941, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt announced our entry into World War II with these words to Congress, the citizens of the United States, and the world.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. It will be recorded that the distance of Hawaii from Japan makes it obvious that the attack was deliberately planned many days or even weeks ago. The attack yesterday on the Hawaiian Islands has caused severe damage to American naval and military forces. No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory.
In the 44 months of fighting that followed the surprise Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States sank every one of the Japanese aircraft carriers, battleships, and cruisers of the Pearl Harbor Task Force. The city, Nagasaki, the city where the special armor-busting bombs were made, was destroyed by a U.S. atomic bomb on August 9th of 1945. And when the Japanese surrender document was signed, among the U.S. warships in Tokyo Bay was the West Virginia. Would you please join me in a moment of silence in memory of all those who lost their lives that infamous day?